family and friends. Welcome back to another edition of the Reimagine You Lab podcast. I am your host, MG, and I always look forward to the guests that we have that come in the lab. And today is going to be no different. Like it's going to be good. I've got an amazing guest. Before we jump into today's conversation, I do want to remind you, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And I want to thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. Like, you guys are really helping the algorithms here. Like, I cannot thank you enough. If you've got friends, colleagues, neighbors that need to know about some change, some things that people are doing and how they're doing it, I want you to know that you have my permission all day to share this episode with them. All right. Okay. That's it. Housekeeping is all done. I want to turn attention to the Noemi Beres, who is here with us all the way from Hungary. Noemi, you know what we're going to do. How are you today?
I'm very well, MG. It's a beautiful day today. Actually, I live in Cyprus, not in Hungary. I'm from Hungary, but I live in Cyprus. So yeah. And thank you for inviting me today.
Absolutely. Now you have to tell folks, we're going to go beyond the bio. So tell them who you are, where you're at, what you do, and how you do it.
Yes. So I run a podcast booking agency called Podcast Connections, and I started the business 5 years ago. But I've been an entrepreneur since 2007, and I had several different businesses. I worked mostly in the travel, online travel world up to the pandemic. Then I had to pivot and started the podcast booking agency in 2020. And what I do, I help entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, authors, you name it, to get on quality podcast shows like yours. So that's what I do in a nutshell. We provide our clients with a done-for-you service. So we do everything when it comes to podcast guesting to make their life so much easier and save their time more, energy, money, and everything else, free time as well.
Yes, listen, you know what? And that's so key, because people do need that type of help, really, right? Like, where people are wanting to get more exposure. And like you said, even high quality podcasts, so that they are brought before larger audiences and groups so that they can expand their networks. I love that you do that. I always believe in get a who instead of trying to figure out the how on your own.
Yes, because so many solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, we're working for ourselves. And I did that for many years, and not delegating anything to anyone, but doing everything and wearing too many hats, for sure.
Yeah. Listen, we want to take some of the hats off, and if we can, let's do it. I love it. So now you shared there that you pivoted, after the pandemic, and a lot of people pivoted after the pandemic. How did you know what to pivot into?
I had no idea, to be honest. I went with the flow. No, the thing is that thankfully we had a mentor from Ireland, and he started basically a course on how to run a podcast booking agency. That's what we did with my husband, and we started our business back then. Basically, from 1 week to another, we were trained as podcast booking agents, and then started our own new business from scratch, because honestly, you had to pay your bills, because we were told that pandemic will be over in 2 weeks. And then we waited 2 more years. And so at least. So we had to figure out something, because the travel industry collapsed basically from one day to another. And it was a very interesting and wide ride, for sure, from switching to one industry, one niche to another. But I enjoyed it. So it was good.
I love that. I think when you think about, I always love to hear the origin stories, where people got started from. What type of business you said you had a travel business prior to the podcast?
Travel business. We had a car rental broker business, basically. So we were the middleman between the car rental company and whomever, holiday makers, travelers, and everything else. So that's what we did. So I was in online marketing, social media marketing, travel writing, blogging. So wearing too many hats, for sure.
So I'm glad to hear too that, you kind of like me where, when you were making a change, making that shift and pivot, that you got a mentor, you got a coach, like, or
Yeah.
somebody to tell, that so that you can learn and then grow from them. Would you say that that's been a big piece and continues to be a piece of, your entrepreneurial journey?
Absolutely. And I would advise everyone to do that, because without our mentor, we never probably started this business like ever. I never even listened to podcast interviews before 2020, because we are
Mm-hmm.
still so behind when it comes to podcasts in Europe. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really connected to the US. And yeah, it was a great opportunity. And then a few years later, like I think it was last year, we also started to work with another business coach,
Mm-hmm.
so to help us to scale. So I think it's important to have someone, an
Mm-hmm.
outsider, who can
Mm-hmm.
see what you're doing wrong and well in your business,
Yeah.
because when you are in it and you're just working in it, you don't know what to do on it. So I mean,
Yeah, no, that's so true. And so many solopreneurs, we will get stuck at a point where you're working in the business and not on it, just like you said. And there's so much more that can be seen and that's visible to others. And you need that. No, I completely agree. So I want you to tell me, like, when you are at a dinner party and you explain what you do, what does that sound like?
yeah, most of the people have no clue. Like even my closest friends, like, what are you doing? Like, how do you earn money with that? Or like, it's
Yeah.
maybe one or two close family members, they know what I'm doing. So what I tell them, I basically the same thing that I told you. I help entrepreneurs, business owners to connect with podcast shows, to help them to be guests on podcast shows. And
Mhm.
probably that's the easiest explanation.
Explanation.
When I want to dive into further, so I help them to share their stories and share their knowledge, but that's too much. So let's just go with, like, I help entrepreneurs to get on quality podcast shows.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's important because I believe that there are entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, consultants that are listening in today. So, talk a little bit about the problem that you solve for them and why it matters, because it
Yes,
does matter.
that's a brilliant question, MG. Yes, we don't have time to do everything, and that's the biggest problem, I think, in most of our business. And I've met people and they try to do this work, like organizing their podcast interviews or with the help of their VAs, but the VAs, the virtual assistants, were never trained for that, so
Mm-hmm.
they never had success with it. And they got a lot of no's from the podcast host, or they didn't even get back to them. No replies, nothing. Hundreds
Mm-hmm.
of requests, hundreds of pitches
Mm-hmm.
sent out by maybe an assistant, but nobody got back to them, and everybody was confused what they're doing wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and why am no one no one is accepting me. So there must be something wrong with me or with my business, and that's very bad for your ego and for your business too. So you need to learn it. If you can
Mm-hmm.
learn it, obviously, how to pitch yourself, but it's I think it's an important just to focus on, to, like, what's your business about. It's really important. And to find your niche, find your niche podcasts that are willing to accept you as a guest. Like, if you are a yoga instructor,
Mm-hmm.
don't pitch to e-commerce podcasts yours, because that
Right.
happens a lot. Like, and because nobody listens to the interview before they pitch themselves, and they have no clue what the show is about, but they just sending out all these
Mm-hmm. To any
messages
and
and pitching
everybody. Mm-hmm.
to whomever they want. So I think it's important to start with that.
Yeah, no, you know what? Because people don't know, like, it's good to be trained, right? Like, you haven't, because when you go on a podcast show, you have it's a platform, there's an audience that's listening, so you want to make sure that, one, you're talking to the right audience. With these folks who are listening in, are they going to be interested in you? That's key. And it is also one of those things that, when you're there, what things you should talk about, what things you should say, what things should be the focal point of the conversation to really be able to help you. Okay, now I'm going to ask you, share with us a success story and maybe a story that wasn't super successful, and share why. Because I think that people need to, I think it's always good when people can put themselves in a situation and to better understand it. So give us a success on how this works, and then
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
unsuccessful too.
Yeah, many people complain about that podcast guesting doesn't work, but it does actually. When you do it right and when you connect and network with the podcast host, definitely works. And I tell my clients so many times that even the podcast host can hire you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. Like I can, use my own example. I've been
Okay.
podcast guesting in the past 5 years, and I've been on a great podcast. I really enjoyed the interview. I knew the host. And then at the end of the interview, when we, or stopped the
Yeah.
recording, she asked me, "Oh, can I work with you?" And like, I would love to, do guesting on podcasts, but of course, it's like, that's how you do
Yeah.
business. I mean, that was so much fun, and I still remember her, and we've been working together for years, and I just love working with her. So that was a very positive, amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I can bring another example, a not so fun one. Um, yeah, it was actually a funny thing because I mean, obviously, I'm not a native speaker. You can hear it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
from Europe, but the podcast host wasn't a native speaker either, so I couldn't understand the word what she was saying,
Oh
and
goodness.
I just kind of went with the flow. I think she sent a list of questions, which was good, so I tried to remember them, and that was a complete disaster. So it was it was not a good
It makes a
experience.
difference. It makes a
Yeah,
difference being trained and prepared to go and
absolutely.
talk. Because one of the things too that I believe is that podcasts are stages. Like you're getting
Exactly.
in front of an audience. People are going to hear you. How do you sound? How do you come off? Like make sure that there's no triggers, that take you down a rabbit trail, or things like that. It's all of those type of things are important. Can you share like a pivotal moment for you um that really you would say change the trajectory of your business in working with people, having some successful ones and then having some unsuccessful, a lot of times usually helps us to strengthen and embolden our businesses and the work and stuff that we do with clients. Can you share any moment that like changed the trajectory of your business once you kind of unlocked something in particular?
Absolutely. The biggest moment for me was when I joined the Go Giver community. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if anyone read the book, the Little Red Book of the Go Giver by Bob Berg and John David
Mm-hmm.
Mann. If you haven't read it, please do. I joined the community 4 years ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
learned so much about business and life and how to lead my life in the Go Giver way. How should I add value and help to other people? And when you do that, when you serve people, everything comes back to you tenfold. And that's how I lead business. That's how I do my business calls, my discovery calls, and they've been working perfectly. So I think we all need to find our tribe. It's so
Mm-hmm.
important because once you have that tribe, once you network with them, you build relationships, everything just comes to you so easily. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got tons of referrals from that group, from the Go Givers, friendships, and
Mm-hmm.
I can only talk about them in like in a hype
Yeah.
way, but yeah, but I and the plus because I love learning, and it's also important that I keep learning from them all the
Mhm.
time. That's how can I keep up with the whole market and help people. So I think that was a pivotal moment for me that happened 4 years ago, and it changed completely how I do business with people. And it's so much easier when so many people complain about that, like they can't sell and they hate selling. Maybe
Mhm.
they're just doing it the wrong way, and
Yeah.
that's why they don't like it, because there's no hard sale. The most important thing when someone get on a discovery call and a sales call with you, that you listen to them. 80%
Yes.
percent of the time you ask questions and you listen, and not just
Mhm.
pitch yourself, like
Yeah.
like so many people do.
Yeah. No, 100%. I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. I think people get more from you when you have listened to what their needs are, right? Like how can you best serve them? And you're 100% the community, that tribe, like everybody has a tribe, right? Like that they
Yeah,
need to belong to, that they feel good about, that they can gain and glean from. So I think that's 100%. Like you do need those communities because they are difference makers for businesses. When you think about, okay, I always ask this question just to, what would you say was the biggest mistake that you've ever made as an entrepreneur, and what did you learn from it?
I think we make a lot of mistakes when we are entrepreneurs, like because that's how we learn. I mean, because if you
Yes.
don't make mistakes, we never learn. Yeah, there was the biggest one. There was once that we had a business partner, and we didn't know the business partner well. We didn't do our research well, and it didn't end well. Let's put it. I don't want to disclose
Don't
more
get into the
details,
dirty details. I got you.
but always do your research, and you need to find the right people who are the right fit for your business. And I had a gut feeling that we were not the right match, but my business partner told me, it's like, no, they're absolutely fine. Yeah,
It
listen to
turns
your gut when it comes to business,
Yes,
please.
I always think that. I always think that. I'll say I'm a Christian believer, and so I always say that the my first mind is the Holy Ghost. Usually, it's directed me the right way. I feel it instinctively, and that's what you should go with because usually you end up back there anyway, right?
Right.
Oh goodness, we I've paid for a lot of lessons too.
We do, absolutely. But that's how we learn, and it's part
It
of
is.
the journey. It's part of the
It
journey. It
is.
can be always rainbows and butterflies. How do you say that?
Yeah. Rainbows and butterflies do not exist all the time in the
Exactly. I
entrepreneurial
mean,
world.
that's not going to be like that.
No, no. You know what? I always like to ask this following because like, have you ever been close to like giving it up? And what kept you going? Because sometimes those mistakes, those learnings, those lessons learned, sometimes are like, oh my gosh, this was a big one. This was hard. This was challenging. Did you ever have a time where you feel like you wanted to give up? And if so, or even if not, what keeps you going? What kept you going?
I usually surprise the host with my reply or with my answer. No, no, I never.
Excellent.
No, I never raised the right flag. So for me, it was really. It's some. I have that kind of personality. Maybe because I'm from I don't know Eastern Central Europe. Because you
Mhm,
always had to push through a lot of
mhm,
things in your
mhm,
life,
mhm,
and that's what I did so many times. So I can be really consistent whatever I'm doing. Like
mhm,
maybe sometimes it's not good all the time to push through things and just keep, but on the other hand, when you do it in not like a wide way, I think for me my motto is keep going. It's really important, just keep going. Whatever happens in life and business, just keep going. And even if you do take small steps,
mhm,
take your time,
mhm.
but don't give up. So for
Yeah.
me, it was like I had a few things in my life. In 2019, I lost my dad to cancer. I lost my grandma to an accident. Thank you. And I lost my business in 2020. So everything happened like within 6, 7 months, and it
Yeah.
was a horrible time. But I knew that I have to keep going because
Mhm.
that's who I am.
Yeah. You know what? I completely agree. And I think that one of the things that I've learned over time as an entrepreneur, and I hear consistently from others, is failure is a part of it, right? Like
Yeah.
there's going to be some things that turn out to be, you might think that it's going to be great and it turns out to be a flop, or it didn't go as planned, or the business partner ran away, whatever it is. Yeah, you do just have to keep going. And I think that's like an innate thing. Like there are people that are going to keep going, right? Like they're just going to
Yeah.
keep going. They're not going to turn aside. And to be an entrepreneur, you have to have that. Like you
Yes.
have to have that
Yeah.
grit. There's a young lady. Are you familiar with Maria Forleo?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe too, like her, that everything is figure outable. You can figure it
So
out.
true. Absolutely.
You can
Everything.
figure it out.
And I think we women, like we have a tendency to do that so easily,
Yeah.
because men can be like, they stop like, okay, so what am I doing now? And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
just let's look at this from a different angle. And because we solve so many problems with our kids, family members, everything.
Mhm.
And I think our
Mhm.
brain works a little bit differently.
Yep.
then guys, and we just figure it out, like, okay, let's just do it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like when I lost my business, and I was told, okay, let's start another one, and tomorrow we're going to have a website, and we are, running a podcast booking agency. Okay, so whatever, like, let's do it. Like,
Let's do it.
we'll see how it goes. I mean, if
Yeah.
it may not work, but like, why think about that? It should, like, it will work. Let's
Yeah.
go with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, just which side of the coin are you going to be on? That is 50% it could work, 50% it can't, but you got to lean to that 50% that says, hey, this can work if I work it, right? Like, I'm going to
Right.
figure this thing out. No, I love that. When you think about, what would you say is like an effective strategy that you have for acquiring even clients and customers? Because I know that's always something that is challenging when we're talking to small business owners and things like that. What's an effective strategy for you?
You mean like
I'm wondering what I think what your response might be
in podcast guesting, or in
Mhm.
general, or?
With podcast guesting or in general. Like, what would you say is the most effective strategy?
Yeah, I would say when it comes to podcast guesting, maybe I'm more qualified to talk about that part. Obviously, I'm not a
Okay.
business coach or anything.
Yeah.
So I wish sometimes. And so I think the most important strategy to be 100% clear what your business is about and
Mhm.
what you want to talk about when you approach a podcast, because there are so many times are people a bit confused who their ideal client is, what niche they are in. They don't
Mhm.
really have topics to talk about for interviews.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important in whatever business you are in. You can be a coach, you can have was other kind of service-based business, or you can be an author, whatever, entrepreneur. It's really important to be super clear about and laser focus what you want to leave the audience with. So what's your message? What are your takeaways? It's
Mhm.
so important, because there's one thing that you use podcast interviews for promotion, but this is not just for promotion. You
Mhm.
always have to provide value, add value to every single show. So in order to do that, you have to be prepared
Mhm.
with topics that actually are valuable to the audience, because why else would be on a podcast then?
Right. No, absolutely. I love that. When you think about, because a lot of us do have solo entrepreneur, right? Like, we've done it by ourselves,
Yeah.
and then we start expanding. And as we scale and the business grows, then we're adding to our teams. How do you approach team building and managing a team? What does that look like for you?
It's
Bringing
not an
others
easy
on.
job. It's not, it's like a whole different world, because for my problem in business was always that, like, I didn't want to delegate because I can do this. It doesn't take much time. So
Mhm.
for me, even to delegate tasks or get other people on the team was hard. And I don't lie about that. It's not about that I'm a control freak or something, but when you get used to that, you work alone for so many years, and I
Mhm.
can do it
Yes, it is.
perfectly. I'm the best. And I know you're not. I mean, and plus your time is so much more important, whatever
More
you
valuable.
do, and it costs
Mhm.
so much more than just replying emails or doing tasks that you can delegate. And what I think is so important to get your help and assistance trained really well. And I just had a great chat with a lady who runs a virtual assistant company,
Oh,
and I really loved that conversation. And she explained that, for example, record Loom videos for your
mhm.
team members, and like, you can do that every morning, and you can give out the tasks. You don't have to write a novel to them, and takes ages for you. Even there's just extra time, so you can save time, just record a video, send it to them. Plus, it's also important, if you record these videos, you can save them, and when a new team member gets on board, it's so important to you can share it with them,
Yeah.
and the training will be just so much faster.
Mhm.
And other thing is, I think it's important to be, it's a little bit different approach, but to be a heart-centered leader in
Yeah.
your business and look after your team, because that really matters. Like, we had a team member, and she got cancer, and it was
Oh,
hard on
no.
her. And obviously, you could support her, like, financially. We supported her financially, and try to support her emotionally, and try to be there for your people, because they will remember what you did for them, not just money wise, but you cared for them. And I think
Yeah.
that's, to be a heart-centered leader, it's just so important
That's a
in
real
today's
difference
world.
maker. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a real difference maker. I think it's important how you treat people. I think there's that famous Maya Angelou quote, but people won't necessarily remember what it was that you said, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Absolutely. So true. Yeah, I love that
Yeah,
quote too.
yeah, yeah. So thinking about, just what is a typical day in the life of Noemi Beres? What's a typical day for you?
Well. I'm a very
And if
versatile
you have
person.
any non-negotiable routines, like are there some things that, hey, this
Yeah.
is happening come rain or high water, like I'm doing this, don't mess with me, like this is my thing.
Yes, I do. I do, MG. I do have every single day when I wake up early because I have
Mhm.
to, not because I want to, but I get up early. And what I do, apart from making a lunchbox for my son, but that's like, like a glorious life of the entrepreneurs and everything. After that, I always do some reading. So I,
Mhm.
even if I just read a few pages, I read every single day because I'm a bookworm since, I was born, and I
Yes,
love it. So for me, it's
yes.
really important just to get on with those books and just
Mhm.
keep reading them. I also learn different languages, Spanish and Greek and Irish.
Oh
Yes, that too.
wow.
Every single day with Duolingo. So I spend about 10, 15, 20, 10 to 15 minutes with just language learning in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And then my son left for school, that my times arrived. So I exercise every morning, and I
Mhm.
enjoy that part, and I usually do it outside because in Cyprus, even during winter time, you can be outside, and I love that.
Oh nice.
And after, I'm doing like rolling exercises and everything, so I really enjoy that part.
Mhm.
I do meditation every single morning, and I do my affirmation. So for me, that's this really
Mhm.
important part to start my day. I don't journal. I know it's very fashionable to do that nowadays. I don't like journaling, so for me, not for me. But what I do, I drum.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I have a djembe drum. I have a frame drum. I have a tongue drum and a handpan, a hang, and
Really?
I switch them around and I drum because it's really good stress relief for your body in the morning. So just like
Oh,
get all
wow.
that very like kind of energy out of your body and
Yeah.
fill up with positive vibes and energy. I think it's really, yeah, for me works definitely. So even the neighbor can hear it, like that's okay. I mean, they will survive.
No, you know what? I think that's so good. Like we do have to have those type of things, right? Like we've got to have what we need. Like in the morning I get up and I always do my meditation and just take a little time to just kind of set my day. And
Yeah,
always very gratitude oriented. Like I want to make sure that I am thankful for the things that I have, thankful for the things that are coming forward, that I haven't
yeah,
seen yet, but I know are coming and are playing for me. So no, I love that. I think it's cool. So I imagine then that you said that the drumming manages the stress, so that, because I was going to ask you about, how do you avoid burnout and stress? Like I'm one of those ladies that have hit this menopause era. I call it my hot girl era because I get hot now all by myself, right? Unweather related. But I think it's important because, as we talked about, even for women, there's always so much that we do, and in the business there's always a lot that is required. But how do you manage that stress and avoid burnout, because it's so typical for women who are in business to do, you know
yeah. And unfortunately, I was there too. Like burnout happened in my life a few times.
Mhm.
And but thankfully, since I kind of, swept around like what I'm doing right now, for
Mhm.
me, walking and hiking. So
Mhm.
that really helps me. Like I walk every
Mhm.
day a few miles, and I just love it. Like sometimes I listen to podcasts, sometimes I listen to an audiobook or music
Mhm.
while I'm walking, and
Mhm.
I really enjoy that. So that like every single afternoon before I start my calls, because I
Mhm.
work with American clients, so my afternoon and evenings starts pretty late, and so 4,
Mhm.
5, 6, 7 p.m. But
Mhm.
before that, I do my walking. So that keeps me energized and
Mhm.
my mind, soul, and body
Yeah.
fresh. And I'm also
Mhm.
an artist, so a mixed media collage artist. So if you can see behind me, I always have like a little
Yes.
solo exhibition there behind me.
I love it.
And yeah, so I make art, and
Mhm.
I really enjoyed it. So after work, many times I work on my collages. Sometimes takes
Mhm.
months to finish one, but it doesn't matter because I enjoy the journey so much.
Yeah.
And making art is so soothing. It's like form of meditation. It
Yeah.
really calms you down, and you just get away from the world. No news, no doom scrolling on social media. Just create, even if you have just like a coloring book, and
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can just do that every single evening. It really helps you to just relax. And the
Yeah.
third thing for me was just to learn to love myself, and to give
Okay.
me myself the grace to slow down, to listen to my own body and my own mind. Like, okay, I need some alone time. I need to get away from the world, no calls. And I don't work during the weekends. I
Mhm.
know in the US it's pretty normal to do that, and I always tell my clients, I'm from Europe. I don't don't work during the weekend.
I'm
So
trying to be. I'm trying to get us to adopt more of the European work lifestyle, right? Like I think that's a key thing, and it's helpful. It's super helpful. Like burning the candle at both ends, just it's
absolutely.
unsustainable.
Somebody told me, we just had a conversation with that. I'm going to take off 2 days during the Christmas holiday. We always do that. It's like, wow, 2 weeks. I never done that. It's like, yeah.
Do
So
that.
I think, yeah, do that. So please do that. Just, yeah, just love yourself enough to take that time off, because it helps, it helps your body, mind to
Yeah.
recover from the whole long year of work and
Mhm.
worry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you know what we really do need that. Like it's really a need.
Yeah.
I tell people that self-care is not selfish. It's actually better for you and anybody around you
Yes, true.
if you take care of yourself. Oh my goodness. Okay, so tell me this. What advice would you give your younger self when you were starting out? We always have listeners who are aspiring, who are thinking about doing something new, who are, I work with a lot of women who are in that reinvention era, right? Like whether they're writing their book, whether they are in midlife and saying, hey, I've been doing this for a while, but I'd really like to do something else I'm more passionate about. So talk to me a little bit about just some advice that you give your younger self if you were just starting out.
Yeah, I love that question. Don't stress too much. Like I was
Mhm.
always stressed out. I was
Mhm.
always worried about everything. Like in my 20s, in my 30s, and something happened. I don't know what. When I turned 40, I'm 46 right now. It's not like
Mhm.
secret or anything. And I think it's something switched in me. Like
Mhm.
why all that worry? Why all that stress? And maybe because I experienced grief in my life, when
Mhm.
I lost my very close family members, I realized that, like, come on, I mean, there's nothing more important than my own mental, spiritual, physical health,
Yes,
and we need to protect that, like,
at all
fiercely
costs.
at
Yeah.
all costs. And I think that's so important. And why to stress that? Because everything's will work out, even if we stress about it or if we don't stress about it. And that's what I
Mhm.
keep telling my mom too, but she doesn't listen. But
He grew up in a different era, so it's
yes,
hard for him to make
true.
that change.
Yeah, she passed 70. So it's a different, it's a culture, it's a different culture. It's kind of, Central Eastern Europe, gloom, doom, which I was growing up to, and have that kind of positivity and mindset and gratitude for life. Like,
Mhm.
and be there for other people as well, and not just stress about everything. Yeah, I would love to, have told to myself when I was in my 20s, 30s, and probably I would have listened, or maybe haven't, but who knows. But yeah, definitely.
No, I love it. I want to make sure I always feel like the conversations come to they start to wrap up way too soon. But if listeners want to learn more about you, about podcast connections, where should they go?
Please visit our website, which is podcastconnections, plural, .co. com. And yeah, that's our website. And you can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active. It's my favorite platform. Just type my name in, Noemi Beres, with a tiny microphone sign next to my name, and I'm happy to chat.
Nice. I love it. We're going to tell everybody to go and talk to you because I know that people need support with getting on podcasts. If you're listening in, Noemi is the expert. She is the professional here. She can help you. She can train you. And then she can also get you on the podcast. Like that. She's a dual threat here. Like, make sure you guys connect with her. But Noemi, is there a question I didn't ask you that you wish I had? Anything?
Yeah, I think we covered so many things, and I loved it. And maybe like just one question that, like, I think every guest should know about, whoever does podcast guesting. So, what do I do when the interview is over? And so and how do I keep like kind of a relationship with the host, because I think that's where the problem is many times with the guests. And yeah, I think that's a cool question, because the 21st century's biggest and I think most important networking tool right now is podcast guesting, because once you get on a show like yours, I mean, after our conversation, we get so much closer to each other, and you never know, we can cooperate, we can work together on some kind of projects, we can help each other, but you wouldn't know if you don't ask the other person. And many times when an interview finishes, you don't have time, because everybody wraps up quickly and everybody just logs off from the call, from the interview. But if you organize a post-interview call after your podcast guesting podcast interview, then you can jump on a call maybe for 10 to 15 minutes, and you can get to know each other even more better, and you can figure out how to help each other, how to serve each other. And you never know, you're gonna be friends, or you can be in each other masterminds or private Facebook groups or whatever. Like, there's so many opportunities, and I don't think people use that wisely after the interview, because okay, done and dusted, interview is next one. But it's not. Like, every single interview is a huge resource of content, and then the possible network of the hosts, like an exchange of networks.
Yeah, you know what? That is the connection. Like, I believe that people network, and you used to go to networking events, and there's always folks who are just passing out cards and collecting cards. But really, the energy and the juice comes in when you connect with people. Who is it? Whose card I got? What are they doing? What are their goals right now? How can I help them? Is there any synergies that we can create together? And it makes all the difference. So networking is going past the card, a simple call, but really getting an opportunity to connect is a difference maker. I completely agree with you, Naomi. I love that, because nobody talks about what do I do after the call, after the podcast. So that's a good one. I'm glad you added that.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. Naomi, thank you so much for being on. This has been beautiful. I'm gonna have to have you come back, like in 2026. I think.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Back, share some more. I love this. Anytime you want to come here, girl, you just let me know.
I will. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me again.
Absolutely. So everybody, if you tuned in, you just listened to from the expert, like, hey, podcast guesting, Noemi Beres, who is the expert in booking and agents, with a booking agency that helps you get trained on what to do when you're on the podcast, as well as put you on them. So make sure you get in contact with her. All of her information, the LinkedIn, as well as podcastconnections.co. Everything is in the description. Make sure that you tune in. Check her out. Noemi, thank you again. And until next time, you guys, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here on the next Friday with the Reimagine You Lab podcast with MG. Have a great one, everybody.